Hey y'all, what is going on? This is Jesse Belts from the 19th hole, and it is Tuesday, which means it is another tournament announcement day. Before we get into talking about the next up-and-coming tournament, I want you to draw your attention to the bottom of this screen, where you can find my social media links, and if you would like to friend me or follow me on any of those connections, definitely feel free to do so. If you are not a part of the community on Facebook yet, and you would like to do that, just go to the search bar, type in Golf Clash the 19th hole, and you can find my community page there and take part of the resources that are available to you from that page. So this is the next tournament we have coming up, the Community Tournament, and it's going to start on Monday, March 2nd. And they did something similar to this last year. Basically what they do is they take a poll and a vote from the players of the Golf Clash community. You pick your courses and then sets of 3 holes for those courses, and then for that, with that information, they put together this tournament, what they call the Community Tournament. I think it was the Community Cup last year. This year, it's the Community Tournament. So the 3 courses that were picked were the Eagle Peak, Greenoch Point, and the, is it Namhae or Namhae? I'm not sure. I think it's Namhae Cliffs course. So we'll talk about those holes here in a little bit. But first, let's talk about the tournament. So it starts on Monday, March 2nd. That's when qualification begins. You have 3 different days to qualify, 24 hours each day to play your 9 holes and qualify in the top 50% of your bracket. It's divided down into 4 divisions: Rookie, Pro, Expert, and Masters. And the way that they decide what division you can play depends on the place you are as far as your weekly league goes. So if you're in Expert level weekly league, then you can play in Expert tournaments, you can play in the Pro tournament, you can play in the Rookie tournament. If you're in the Pro Weekly League, you can play in the Pro or the Rookie. So you can always play below what level you are at. The thing about it is, no matter what division you play, you're going to still play against people from the same type of weekly league that you're in. So if you decide that you want to play Rookie and you're Expert level 2, you're still going to be matched up with people in the Expert 1, 2, and 3 weekly leagues down in the Rookie. So it's not like you're going to get an easier bracket and get to play just a bunch of beginning rookie players. So, and that's how it works for every level of play. So that's the breakdown of kind of the brackets and how that works. These are the rules for each bracket and league and division. The Rookie plays from the front tee, the Pro Expert play from the second tee, and the Masters play from the third tee. As you can see, the wind speeds kind of increase depending on what division you play in. Of course, with Masters having the highest amount of wind. That also means they get to have the most fun and do different things with their shots that you may not be able to do down in the Rookie with 3 and 5 miles per hour of wind. So definitely keep that in mind too. Needle speed increases depending on what division you're playing in as well, with the highest extra needle speed in the Masters. And then they have this thing called the hidden spin, which is only in Expert and Masters, which means you don't get to see your opponent making their adjustments for their spin, and you also don't see their ball guide when they are lining up their shot. So in the Rookie level, if you win a match during the tournament, qualification, opening round, or weekend round, you get a prize. Just like you get in Tour Play, you're going to get a chest. So for a Rookie level, you get a Tour 3 chest, level 3. Pro, level 6. Expert, level 9. And then a Masters chest would be a level 12 chest. So keep that in mind. You do earn those prizes throughout the tournament as you do well on each hole. So when it comes to the shootout, if you if you want to win those chests, then definitely don't forfeit those shootouts. Play them all the way through. These are the prizes that you can win for the tournament, divided up into each division. And as you can see, I don't believe the prizes have changed for the tournament in quite some time. So they are the same. And this is actually the prizes that you win if you win a gold medal. So what you see here will kind of scale down all the way down to 100th place on the weekend. So for the opening round, if you qualify Monday to Wednesday, you get to play in the opening round, which is Thursday and Friday. And the opening round is 18 holes, but you get 48 hours to play those 18 holes. If you qualify and finish in the top 50% of your bracket, then you move into the weekend round, which takes place on Saturday and Sunday. Just like the opening round, you've got 48 hours to play 18 holes, and then wherever you end in your bracket will be your ending position for the tournament. Here's the course we have. As you can see, holes 1 through 3 are Eagle Peak, holes 4 through 6, Greenoch Point, and then holes 7 through 9, Namhae Cliffs. And those are the 3 courses that will be used in the tournament. And we're going to go, and look at these holes a little bit more in depth here in just a second. I'm not going to go too in depth, but I'm going to kind of just give you some ideas on how to play these holes, and we'll talk a little bit about the elevations that you will see on these holes. If you want to play these courses in tour play, I know that's always an important question. Where can I play these courses? Where can I practice them? So for Greenoch Point, you're going to find that one in Tour 9. Namhae Cliffs, you're going to find that one in Tour 3. And then for Eagle Peak, you're going to find that one in Tour 8. So Tour 9 and Tour 8, and then Tour 3 is where you can find these courses and holes to play. So definitely good luck to you from now until Monday in trying to find these ones in tour play and kind of getting that practice on. Alright, we'll be right back in just a second, and we'll go through these holes and talk a little bit about each of them in a little bit more detail. Alright, so we're going to start out with hole number 1, par 3, and we play this one at plus 30%. If you're trying to find this one in past tournaments, you can find this one in the last fall major tournament and also the Great Outdoor Tournament. So if you want to go back and look at previous content from either myself or other Golf Clash streamers, those will be the tournaments you go back to find the information for this particular hole. So plus 30% is the elevation off the first for the first hole here, and you can play the rough bump here, which is definitely a fan favorite of a lot of people, including myself. Or in the rookie, if you don't want to go for the rough bump and you don't have a wind or clubs that allow it, you can play a shot off the fairway with a long iron. So you can possibly play the rough bump from the first tee, or you can play the long iron shot from the first tee. From the second tee for the pro and the expert, definitely you're looking at the rough bump. There may be a need to go with a wind ball. Definitely maybe the possibility of a side spin 3 ball, and it will depend on the wind that we get really for this shot. Will the funnel still be there is the main question. That funnel's been there for many tournaments, so I'm kind of curious to see if Playdemic does anything to kind of mess with that funnel. Will it be there or will it not be there? So plus 30% is the elevation here. I'm going to talk a little bit about elevations now. It's a common question that I get when I do these videos. What is elevation? Alright, elevation is an adjustment we make to compensate for either the downhill shot or the uphill shot. And the compensation that we're being made for is the distance that is taken to get to the hole. So if you play a shot uphill, you're going uphill, so it's taking less distance to get to the actual landing zone. So that's why you subtract away from an adjustment. When you're going downhill, you're adding distance, so that's why you're adding additional distance to the shot. And the way that you do this is you actually make changes to your wind. So if we have a 5 mile per hour wind, we're playing with a plus 30%. Plus 30 of 5 miles per hour would be 1.5 miles per hour. So then we just add that 1.5, that 5 miles per hour together, and that gives us a grand adjustment of 6.5 miles per hour. So if we had a 5 mile per hour wind and we were playing our shot at plus 30, we would have 6.5 miles per hour, and then we just make our adjustment as normal. So, and that would change, of course. So if we had like a plus 10% elevation with 5 miles per hour, then we would add 0.5, and then we'd have 5.5 miles per hour. And it's as simple as that. If you're going uphill, you just take it away. So let's say we had a minus 10% elevation at 5 miles per hour. So we minus 0.5, so then we have 4.5 miles per hour. And it's that simple. So hopefully that helps you as far as wondering what the heck are they talking about when they're saying plus 30, plus 20, minus 10. When we're talking about elevation changes, we're talking about making changes to the miles per hour to help compensate for that change in the distance for the shot. If you're still confused about the whole thing, definitely feel free to send me a message on Facebook, and I'd be happy to help and try to explain it as best as possible. All right, hole 2 here, par 4. This one right here, we're going to play with a 0% off the tee box. You can find this hole the previous fall major tournament would be the closest place I would suggest to go look for it. And you can play this shot with a big topper. You can also play this shot with a driver, or like a power curl shot here as well. The main shot that a lot of people are going to play, though, is going to be the big topper shot, where you just use topspin. You blast it through the trees. You're going to hit that rough and then roll out towards the green that way. If you're playing from the second tee, you may have a little bit better clubs. You can possibly try to go for the power curl shot, which would use backspin and left spin. And then that shot right here will go and hit the fairway and then roll either to the hole, maybe up here past the hole, or maybe on the green and then roll back to the hole. Those are all different possibilities for this hole and that shot. I prefer the power curl shot. We've used it the past 2 times we've had this hole because we've had that nice kind of right to left headwinds. With a tailwind, it may change the way the shot's played a little bit more. Maybe we won't need to use the full overpower, and maybe we'll just need to use make sure we use the curl to our advantage. So we'll see what kind of wind we get come Monday, and then we will make changes to the suggestions on how to play this hole. If you don't want to play either of those 2 shots, you can always play more of a conservative approach, where you just try to get the ball to the end of either one of these fairways, and then you try to take your second shot down to the hole that way. It's very difficult way to play this hole, in my opinion, and it will lead to very low percentage drops for the shot. But if you want to do that, that would be plus 30% for that second shot. And as I said before, 0% for the first shot. So 0 and 30%. Hole number 3 is next, and it is a par 5. And let's see, the last tournament we had this one in was the fall major tournament. So off the tee box, we're playing 0%. You'll either be landing your shot before the rough or after the rough, depending on what kind of wind we have on the drive. We just want to get this ball as far down the fairway as possible. Depending on where you have to land your drive will definitely determine how far down the fairway you can get it, in which case will also determine the club that you can use for your second shot. Last time we played a guardian shot towards the hole with full backspin. If you're farther back and you can't get to that guardian, you may need to use a shot where you use the back of that green to kind of funnel the ball back down towards the hole. You can always play the shot off here to the right-hand side and just kind of lay up for a little bit of a chip shot to the hole. If you're playing from the lower tees, like the rookie tees, then you may have a long iron to the hole, in which case for the long iron shot, I would suggest landing it more on the front edge of the fairway, and then using backspin to the hole for that shot. From the first tee, you may not be able to get far enough down to play that shot with the sniper or the guardian, or you may just not have those clubs at your disposal in the rookie level. Keep that in mind as well. The second shot for this hole is being played at plus 10%. So plus 10% no matter which way you decide to play your second shot on this hole. Hole number 4, and this one right here, seems like we've had this one an awful lot recently. It's a par 3, as I'm sure you all remember. Hole 4, par 3. And we'll play this one at plus 10%. The last tournament we had this one in was the Holiday Hills tournament. We've also had this one in the Great Outdoors tournament, and I may have those two flip-flopped on as to like what their order was. But Great Outdoors, Holiday Hills tournament were the tournaments that you could find this hole at recently. So plus 10% from the second tee or even the first tee, you can go for the rough bump here. That's definitely an option. You can play a sniper shot from the front area here, or like from the first tee, you could possibly play a sniper, viper, or maybe like a Goliath big backbone shot, depending on the wind angle. I think the most generally used shot, especially from the second and third tee, though, is the rough bump with the quarterback or the rock. So a few different ways to play this hole, and a lot of it will depend on the wind and also how really aggressive you do want to get with the shot, because I mean, if you play the rough bump, there's always that possibility that you'll hit the edge of the green and just go bouncing way off the fairway into the water, or even the sand, most likely the sand. But there's always that risk for sure. But definitely that big payoff is that you hit that rough bump nicely and drop the shot for the ace. All right, hole 5 is next, and hole 5 is a par 4. This is the Greenoch point course, and the last time we had this hole, I believe, was, I think, the Great Outdoors Open, the Great Outdoors tournament. So if we're talking about any of these holes, and you can think of a tournament where we've had these ones more recently, definitely comment in the comment section below the video, so that others that watch this video can find out where to find these holes. But from what I remember, the Great Outdoors was the last time we had this hole, and this may have been another Holiday Hills tournament as well. I'm pretty sure that this was a Holiday Hills tournament as well. So Holiday Hills and Great Outdoors. Now, it really depends on the wind they're going to give us here for this hole. Are they going to give us a fun wind, or are they going to give us a boring wind like they gave us last time? We're playing plus 10% off the tee box for this first shot. And you can either play the shot to the left, in which case you're trying to get down here, or you can play the shot to the right, in which case you're trying to get to this area right here. So the differences in these two shots is, if you're going to play the shot to the left, I would play this one, downhill at a plus 10%, laying it in there. To the right, you're going to be playing the shot either to bounce over here or land it over here as well. And I'd play that shot at 0 to plus 10%, depending on the location of your drive. If you're farther up the hill, then maybe, we'll see. But, it just really depends on the location of your drive as to what your elevation is going to be for that second shot. But it's going to be somewhere between 0 to 10% from those fairways. Now, if we get a nice wind on our drive where we can bounce our shot here and go over that rough and bushes and get ourselves up farther into that fairway, then this hole gets, to me, a little bit more interesting, because then we put ourselves somewhere in a possible wedge or possible short iron distance to the hole. In which case, for there, once again, it's going to depend on where your ball rests after your drive. If you're farther up to the edge, then I'm going to say it's closer to the 0%. But if you're farther back in that fairway, then I feel like it's more of like an uphill shot to the hole, so maybe like a minus 10% or minus 5% for that shot. So definitely it's going to be one of those things to kind of keep in mind as to your location of your drive. But hopefully, I prefer to get the nice tailwind and really go for the shot. Now, lower level divisions like the pro and the rookie, you can still possibly go for like a power curl shot here to the right hand side. Your landing zone is going to be right in this area no matter what tee you're playing on. And you can play this shot with an extra mile or a Thor, but definitely, those are options as well. And you'll use topspin, and you're not going to use a ton of left spin, because you don't want to go into the rough or the bunkers over here. You want the ball to hit and shoot up the fairway that way, because you want to get as far up into that fairway as possible to give yourselves the best chance at that second shot to the hole. If they give us winds that allow us to do that, you're definitely going to see a lot more drops on this hole. If off the tee box we get some sort of a headwind, though, it's going to be a lot like the last tournament, where you're going to see just a lot of people getting really close to the hole, and every once in a while maybe dropping it, but most likely, more or less just it's going to be a hole of birdies probably. So tough to wait and see. All right, our next hole here is hole number 6. So we got hole 6 here is next. And this hole here, I had a hard time remembering the last time we had this hole, and the only thing I could find was we had it last in the Platinum Resorts tournament, and we may have had it, more recently than that. So this is definitely a hole where if someone remembers and can show me where we've had this one more recently, definitely, post a comment in the section after the video. But anyways, hole 6 here. This is a par 5. You've got a really good chance at going for the rough bump here to possibly get the albatross. So off the tee box, we're playing the shot off this fairway and then up the fairway as best as we can to try to leave ourselves in a good spot. Now, you either be playing like the sniper or the Viper from the first tee. If you're playing from the second tee, you're going to be looking at either the sniper or a Goliath shot, depending on the wind angle. So if you have like a side wind or a headwind for the second shot, then most likely the sniper. If you have a nice tailwind, then it may be the Goliath, and all that may also depend on, you know, what section of this fairway you are on. If you're farther back, you know, then you're most likely looking at, you know, a sniper shot. But if you're farther up in the fairway, then you could possibly be looking at a Goliath shot, or maybe a B-52 or a shot like that. Maybe even like a Grizzly. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. The Grizzly's kind of developed into that club that you have a little bit more possibility of using now that they've kind of amped it up a little bit. So that's hole 6. The elevations would be 0% off the tee box, and then minus 10% for the second shot for the rough bump. You could also go to that green with a Guardian and use full backspin and try to kind of roll it back into the hole off the little slope that there is on that hole, and that's always a possibility as well. Alright, so hole 7 is next, and hole 7 right here, like a lot of people are going to look at this hole and be like, what hole is this? This is played at plus 20%, and the last time that I could find that we had this hole was a Creepy Cliffs tournament, which was years ago. So it's not one, from my knowledge, that's been used recently, so it'll make it a very interesting hole to play. Now, you can maybe play a rough bump here, but I think the general way most people play it is off the fairway. If you look at this fairway, though, you can kind of see that it's kind of lumpy. Yeah, I'm going to use the word lumpy. And it's hard to find a really consistent bounce zone to play this shot. So, you know, I think a majority of people play it more over here to the left side of the fairway, then try to play that angle up to the hole that way. So at plus 20%, this is going to be a hole that we're going to have to work on. Maybe, you know, maybe we can try to dial in some sort of a rough bump here off this rough. But honestly, it's not been a hole that's been in tournaments enough to really have a chance to really give it a good chance of dialing it in. So it'll be interesting to see it played in this tournament and see, you know, what the new blood of the game can come up with as far as ways to play the hole, and also how, you know, increases to the you know, clubs and the development of the clubs can change the way a hole gets played as well. So those are just definitely some things to keep in mind. Keep an open mind, and you know, when you're playing this hole in practice, and maybe try out some weird and crazy things. Who knows? Maybe you'll find the next big shot on this hole. All right, hole number 8 here, another hole that we have not had in quite some time, and mostly it's because it's a pretty easy hole. Any kind of side wind or tailwind, we're gonna have a good chance to drive the green on this one. So we're gonna be playing this one at plus 10% for the drive, and you know, if we get a tailwind, we're gonna be laying the shot up the fairway, and then we're gonna be using topspin, right spin, and rolling this shot up to, you know, either the edge of the green or even onto the green. So if you find yourself short of the green, you're going to be playing that shot at 0% for the second shot, possibly, you know, -5, -10% if you're farther back in the fairway, because it is kind of a sloping hill up to that green. So if you find yourself farther back down that hill, then that second shot may be more uphill, in which case you may want to use a -5 or -10%. But if you're up there along the fringe, then just go with 0%. Again, I think Creepy Cliffs was the last time we had this hole. So if you remember this hole being played in something other than the Creepy Cliffs, like more recent, definitely post in the comment section below, because I sure as heck can't remember playing this hole in quite some time. Anyway, so if we have to bounce, you know, if we get a headwind and we have to bounce here, and we'll be bouncing our shot here before the rough, and just trying to get up as far as we can up the fairway, and then from there it's going to be either short iron or maybe like a min long iron to the hole. It's still going to be a really good chance to drop the shot because it's a straight on shot, and then there is some flatter area up here around the edge of the green to land your shot. I remember that. So that's hole 8. Hole 9 is the last and final hole, and it looks like the people wanted holes where they had a chance to drive the green.
This hole right here with the right wind will give us a chance to drive the green. So playing plus 10%, you'd be playing with either the big topper or maybe a Thor 6, Thor 7, something like that. This is another hole where you go all out, most likely using a power 5 ball, and you're trying to land your shot on this fairway with max topspin, trying to get that maximum shot, maybe to the green, maybe to this area right here. No matter where you get, you're going to be left in a good spot for your second shot to possibly drop the albatross on this hole. So the drive is plus 10%. Now, if you have to lay up here on this island, the shot from there is plus 40% because it is very, very downhill from that spot. But if you get down the fairway, then it's not quite as bad. I would say it's somewhere like plus maybe plus 10, plus 20%. I really cannot honestly remember the elevation for that second shot once you get farther down the fairway. It's definitely not that same plus 40% as it is from that top island area. I think it's I would say it's a plus 10%. I think for that second shot if you get up the fairway. But nonetheless, it's going to be a really good look at the hole for the shot, because you want to land your shot somewhere here on the front edge of the green, then let that ball guide and roll, do the rest, maybe get that drop. This is definitely a big time albatross hole. Now, I don't know, maybe they're going to give us a really crappy wind and not even let us go to the right hand side. In that case, then you're going to be playing your shot down the left hand side just as far as you can get it. The farther you go, the better you have. You want an angle here, as you can see, to this fairway right here. So you want to be somewhere in this zone so that you can take a second shot to this fairway and then with topspin roll the ball up to the hole. Otherwise, you're going to have these trees to deal with, and it just makes the shot longer and longer the farther and farther back you are. So if you're back in this zone, like right here, then you may have to actually try to play a shot like over here and bounce it out onto the fairway, because I don't know if you'll have the club to play a shot around the trees and to that fairway. That would be a very tough shot to make. I think that second shot from the left hand side is a plus 10% to that fairway as well, but it's not a way that I've seen played a whole lot, because normally Playdemic is going to give us a decent wind and let us have our fun and go for the shot over here. So we'll see what happens and what happens on Monday when the qualification begins. Alright, y'all, thanks very much. Y'all have a great day. Hopefully you enjoyed this information video. Once again, if you want to go out and practice these tours, Greenoch Points, Tour 9, Namhae Cliffs, Tour 3, Eagle Point, Eagle Peak, Tour 8. So get out there, practice. I believe all of these courses are already on tour, so you don't have to wait till Thursday to get out and start having some fun on these, not new holes, on these old holes. Alright, y'all. Later. Have a great day. God bless.